Yay, we're live. Hey guys, it's me, Shaw360. My lighting is a little bit weird today because I have two light sources. There's a light over there and there's a light over here. I'm thinking about turning off this light because it's a little bright and it's hard for me to see because it's like right in my face. So I might turn that one off. Hey, Alondra, how are you doing? So we're going to talk about Produce episode 6. I didn't do a review for the elimination episode because, truth be told, there's nothing to review when it comes to elimination episodes. I did talk about the elimination episode, but I didn't leave that live up because I talked about a whole bunch of other stuff and I didn't feel like leaving it up on my channel. So we're just going to have this conversation right now. So I really like when they have group battles. That is my favorite part of Produce. My least favorite part of Produce is the build up to group battles. I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you're well too. I don't like the lead up to group battles because group battles, it's never about the skills that people learn or the improvements that they make, like legitimate improvements. It's all about the drama they had to overcome in order to be able to get on stage. It's always some manufactured issue and then victory. And to be honest with you, it's played out. I find it very ironic because Korea is a society that's all about reputation. And I'm doing well, thank you. And reputation, because it means everything and everything is so filial in that country. The drama is never somebody who's out there being wild, messy, or wild, reckless, or doing things that you would see on like a Bad Girls Club or The Real World or any of these other like American reality shows. It's always someone's feelings are hurt or there was a misunderstanding and then everyone apologizes to each other. No one is actually ever a true to life real villain in these kinds of dramas. So it's really difficult because while Mnet wants the drama in order to sell a storyline, in order to make people feel emotions, they have to be very careful because of the whole respect and manners society that they're in, that they don't paint somebody in a light that's so bad that that person could then turn around and sue the network for defamations. So yes, Mnet does evil editing, but they can't do evil editing to a way that makes it very clear that Mnet sees a particular person or a particular set of people as being the villain, because you can be sued and a person can win just for making them look bad. So that's part of the reason why I don't like the drama that leads up to the group battles. I like just the battles themselves, see what comes out on stage, and keep it moving. So let's start with identifying first what people have at stake for this group battle. So the next elimination, which is not going to be next week, but the week after, instead of eliminating 15, no, it would be 25 contestants they would normally be eliminating. This time they're going to eliminate 30, which means the group is going to be cut in half at the next elimination round. So this group battle is really important because half of these people are going to get sent home. So that's one of the major things at stake. The next thing is what you win if you do well. So if you win there's like 4 different categories. There's rap, vocal, and dance. If your team wins for top rap, you get 100 times your score. No, is that right? Yeah, 100 times your score. So let's say that in an audience of 1,000, 100 people voted for you. You get 100 times 100. So you end up with 10,000 votes when you go into the final elimination round. Now, if not only your team comes out on top for your category, but you also have the number one number of votes. So let's say that your team is the best team and you get first place in your team, you get an additional 100,000 votes to go into the final elimination with, which that's a really strong showing. That could be the difference between staying and going. So that's what's at stake for the rap, the vocal, and the dance categories. But there's a second category called the X category. And the X category is a combination of skills. So instead of just rapping or just dancing or just singing, you have to do rap and dance, or you have to sing and dance. And so since you have to master two skills, you get two times the benefits. So if 300 people voted for you, you're going to get 60,000 points to go into the final. And then if you're the top scorer in your X group and your group was the winning X group, then you're going to go into the final with 200,000 extra votes. So it's really important for these people to win their group battle. It's not just about, oh, we're glad we won because we worked really hard. It's, I need these extra votes to get into the final, which there were extra votes in the last one. It wasn't that they didn't have extra votes, but they didn't have extra votes to the tune of what they have this time. They're really getting a whole bunch of votes for this. So they've given us all the group battle songs, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 songs that they're going to be doing, which is surprising to me that they're doing 11 songs and they have 60 trainees to work with. But some of the groups are really, really small. For instance, the rap group for Tell Me Yes or No only had 4 people in it. So it's not that they have just a whole bunch of people in each group. Some groups are really large, some groups are really small. I think that the biggest group I saw had 6 people maybe, and then the smallest group I saw had 4. So that's why we end up with 11 songs here. So for the vocal group, the songs are Me After You by Paul Kim, Twit by Hwasa, To My Youth by Populkan, and then Day by Day by Wanawan. The rap songs we have are Tell Me Yes or No by Zico, Barcode by Han and Binchin. The dance songs are Believer by Imagine Dragons, Finesse by Bruno Mars, and Swalla by Jason Derulo. And then the X songs are Attention by Charlie Puth and Turtle Ship by Jamez, And Up, and Mino. Let's see, I missed a comment here. I wonder why the girls' season they only had vocals and dance. I can't remember them having rap. The reason why they only had vocals and dance for the girls' season is because, honestly, sexism, when it comes to girls, people don't prioritize the female rappers of the group. Most people consider the female rappers to be the girls who absolutely can't sing. And I'm not saying that to be mean at all. Like, it's just what it is. That's the reason why there's not a rap category. Whereas male rappers are extremely respected, and that is a whole category for them. Like, people are known to be good rappers in idol groups as men. And what's high key ironic about that is that all of these male rappers who want to make their way on the show for being rappers are being trained by a female rap coach. So, irony? I'm just saying. But yeah. So, Jade says that the song choices were a dub. So let's just go through the song choices and see what we think about it. Me After You by Paul Kim is an extremely popular song in Korea. It is a very Korean song. Like, Korea loves its ballads. This is one of those really emotional, sentimental ballads. It makes sense that this would be a vocal song. Twit, that one was surprising because I don't think of Twit as a singing song, if that makes any sense. Like, Was is a great singer. Don't get me wrong, but that wasn't a song that I would listen to because it shows off Wasa's range. It was just a cute song. So that was surprising for vocal. To My Youth by Populkan, I think is a good song choice. First of all, Populkan, everything they do is magic in Korea, so like it is going to be a popular song, but also Populkan have a very kind of light, breezy sound to their music. Like, they don't have extremely hard vocals to replicate because their vocals are so very kind of, childish is not the word, light, airy, breezy. And so I think that's a good song for people who aren't very good singers. Not saying that the girls from Populkan don't have talent, it's just not the kind of song that requires a bunch of really high notes or a lot of vocal variation, in my opinion. Day by Day by Wanawan, I don't mind it as a vocal song. I just feel like, again, I don't think it's a song that requires a lot of range, and also it's not a ballad. So I'm not sure why the range in the vocals, I expected more ballads. I expected more ballads. Okay, and Nojin says Day by Day was a weird choice. I wish they'd picked Beautiful by 101. Me too, but the way they arranged it was amazing in my opinion. I don't even like Twit when it came out. Okay, we will talk about the arrangement of Twit when I get to that portion. I won't forget that you said that. Okay, so the rap section. The rap section for me was the hardest part, but also the easiest in my opinion. Rap is always hard because in the vocals you're judged for not only the way you sing but the way you rearrange the song, so the arrangement gives you points as well. For the rap section you have the same backing track that you have with the original rap, but you have to totally write brand new lyrics. And to me, if it came to arrangement versus lyric rewriting, I'd much rather rearrange a song. I'd much rather either pick a different genre to change the backing track to, or slowing down some of it, or maybe adding vocal layers in places where they weren't before. That shit seems easy. Writing brand new lyrics to a song, especially a well-known song, that to me is a whole lot more skill than a lot of these amateurs have. Especially a song like Tell Me Yes or No. Like, a lot of people know that song. That song is super popular. And Barcode, again, is a fairly recent release, only in like the last year and a half, 2 years. Very popular song. Very talented rappers. There's no way that anything you write is not going to be compared to the original. And in the vocal category, it's supposed to sound like the original. In the rap category, you're supposed to sound original. So to me, the rap category is the hardest category of them all. And then for the dance section, they chose Imagine Dragons' Believer, which, according to the previews of next week, I can see where it can be turned into a dance song, but it wouldn't be my first choice of a dance song. Like, if I was out here picking songs for people to dance to, I can't say that anything by Imagine Dragons would come to mind as being like, oh yes, I would love to see choreo for that. Finesse by Bruno Mars, not a bad song, but I don't think that that would be the song that I would choose if I was choosing a Bruno Mars song. Personally, I like Chunky. That's a song that I like from that album. And then, of course, 24 Karat. That's a great song. That's what I like. That's another great song. But they've already done That's What I Like before, so that's why that didn't get chosen. But I don't know. Bruno Mars Finesse, it's a little too chill for a dance song, in my opinion. Like, for a song that's supposed to show off the dancing of a group, I just feel like that song is just a little too laid back to really get into some very exciting dance moves. And then Swallow by Jason Derulo. I'm not gonna lie, Swallow is a great rhythm for dancing. Like, in terms of a song that you could show off your dance moves, maybe doing a little break dancing, some choreographed song, a little popping and locking, I think Swallow is amazing for that. The issue I have is that Korea loves Swallow, and Swallow is a nasty ass song. Like, it's about drinking cum. Even though you can try to fashion it to be it's about taking shots at the bar, the reality is that it's about guzzling seed. And I personally don't find that to be appropriate subject matter for a family show. But again, I don't think that Korea really pays attention to the subtleties of American lyrics. And so they're probably like, no, it's about going to the bar and getting drunk. Sure it is. Sure it is. So dance to me is also another category that can be difficult because you have to make your own choreography. But, in the past, people have been able to get inspiration from other people's choreographies, so I don't think it's that hard in the end. Okay, so Nojin says, yeah, Beautiful is rumored to be one of the songs. It would have been good since the first produce they did Downpour by IOY, and Beautiful Part 2 is kind of akin to Downpour. Okay. All right, so for the X Battle, the songs they chose for the X Battle, I don't understand. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I think these were terrible, terrible, terrible choices. So the first song that was chosen for the X Battle is Attention by Charlie Puth. And the challenge here is that with the X Battle, you're doing two positions at once. So where the focus of the dance battle is making choreography, the focus of the rap battle is writing your own rap verses, the focus of the vocal is rearranging the song and having really good sounding vocals. The focus of group battle is to do two things at once. So for attention, the group has to do a special arrangement of the song, plus they have to have choreography. For turtle ship, they have to write their own raps, plus they have to have choreography. And yeah, I don't know why you would choose turtle ship. Like, if I was gonna choose a song where people had to both dance and do their own rap, I would pick something much more upbeat, something that had a harder bass line, something that just knocks. And this isn't really what I would go for. That's just me. I'm biased, but this isn't the sound I would go for. But I don't think there's a lot of really danceable hip hop in Korea, to be quite honest with you. The hip hop is good, but it's more of like a head bobbing good. And so that's the reason why I wouldn't have picked Turtle Ship as being the X Battle song. Um, hmm. I'm trying to think, what song would I choose to be a hip hop song for the X Battle if I was choosing one? I can't think of a single one. Like, Korea just doesn't have that kind of vibe to their hip hop. Attention by Charlie Puth is another song I would have never chosen. First of all, for group battle, you're having to sing, you're having to vocally rearrange, and you're having to dance. And then you pick a song in English. You know, yes, there are people on the show who speak English. People have auditioned using English songs, but you get a limited amount of time to rehearse. There's a lot of R's and L's in this song, and I'm not saying that to be racist, but in the Korean language, R's and L's kind of hit the ear the same way. So instead of saying running around, they're saying loving round, and it just becomes a tongue twister, and it doesn't sound right. And so I wouldn't have picked Attention because it has heavy English lyrics, because of the English lyrics being very difficult, because they're kind of like, it's the repetitive sound. And then Attention is not a song I think about as being a very dance heavy song. Like, I just don't see Attention as being, if I was going to pick an English song for the guys to do on the show, to be honest with you, because I hear what's popular in the streets of Korea, because, you know, I be out there all the time, I would have picked Seven Rings by Ariana Grande. Because then they could have done it as a rap song, rewrite the lyrics, and then the song has a nice beat to it, which I think would be good for dancing. So, yeah, I don't think I would have done this. They could have thrown them a curveball and threw in a Japanese song. They could have thrown in a Japanese song, but maybe they're saving that for the year when they decide to invite a Japanese group to be in here. They could have picked Justin Bieber, but to be honest, Justin Bieber didn't have a lot of new music out, so it would have been very difficult, because I think they're trying to go for songs that have been released in the last couple of years, and I don't think that Justin Bieber's had many solo songs in the last couple of years. I might be wrong. I'm not a big fan, so I don't know. I don't understand why they even pick English songs when they're training to be K-pop idols that sing in Korean. Exactly. Okay, so I put on here that I wonder if the X category was inspired by last year's Did It Do, where the former YG trainee tried dancing too much for what was supposed to be a vocal group, and she forgot her whole rap. So I don't know if you guys watched the third season of Produce, the one with the AKB48 girls, but there was a former YG trainee who claimed that she was supposed to be in Blackpink, but didn't really explain what happened that prevented her from being in Blackpink and leaving YG. But she had a chip on her shoulder about not making it into the group or not being a part of the group. And so when it came time to do the group battle, her group got Did It Do by Blackpink, and she was super psyched. She's like, yes, bitch, time for me to shine, show you what I'm made of, show you what I'm worth. And so their selection was actually a vocal selection, but she was like, no, we're gonna dance. Yes, vocals are here, but we're going to dance. Wait and see. We're going to knock their socks off. They get on stage, they have choreography and everything, and it's real cute. She gets to her rap part, totally forgets the lyrics. Like, just mind blank. And she ends up getting sent home in elimination, which was fair because she forgot the lyrics. But it was a vocal only competition. They didn't have to have choreo. It was vocals. And so, like, you blew your shot trying to do the absolute most. And I wonder if maybe watching her try to do both and seeing how it tripped her up made the producer say, you know what? we should do this on purpose next season just to see how many people flub it up. So, I mean, I can't help but think that maybe there's a little inspiration there. So, they're going through and everybody is picking which group they want to be. And what they did is that they let the people that are ranked number 1 through 60 come through. So like if you were number 1, you got your first choice of what song you wanted to do, and then you'd pick your spot. So everybody is coming through, picking whatever selections are left, what they think would be the best for them. And a lot of people are afraid to pick the X battle. I mean, yes, people are thinking if I do the X battle, I have a chance of winning a whole bunch of points. And that would be great for me because I could use the points. But at the same time, I have a short amount of time and I've got to utilize 2 different skill sets in order to be able to be a part of the Group X battle. I don't know if I want it. So a lot of really talented, very well high-placed trainees weren't choosing the Group X battle. Except for one guy who has got balls of steel and has the self-awareness of a peanut, Mr. Skycastle. Skycastle managed to pluck the Group X battle off the table and says, I can do this shit. Not only can I do this shit, but I pick Turtle Ship because I'm a rapper. I totally am a rapper. And before he came through the door, they had clips of everybody saying, I hope Eugene's not on my team. I hope Eugene's not on my team. I hope Eugene is not on my team. And the look on people's faces when he came through with that X, everyone looked relieved. Except for old boy who was in the X team. And he's like, oh, fuck. Okay, man, come on through. Come on through. And I was just like, you have got an uphill battle, my man. Because that kid can't do anything. That kid cannot sing. That kid cannot dance. His skills have not improved since the show started. I would be beyond shocked if he could write a rap. Like, why is Sky Castle still here? Korea, I know you love Sky Castle. I know that show is your fave. I know you want to see the cast of that show go on to bigger and better things. But let me tell you something. That little kid didn't write the script to Sky Castle. All he did was act. He may have acted well, but all he did was act. He didn't sing or dance or rap on that show. Why are you voting for him every time? Why does he keep getting so high? If he makes it into the group, that doesn't mean they're going to renew Sky Castle for a season 2. That's not what that means. It just means you're going to have this talentless lump in your group. It's not an acting group. It is a singing and dancing group. This kid can do neither. My gosh, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? Mnet, you have got to do us the solid and show him being bad. The week before, when his group's group battle came through, they focused on the Chinese kid and how he was having such a hard time with choreography and everything else. They didn't spend a second showing how Eugene not only couldn't get the choreography, but wasn't even practicing that hard, trying to figure out the choreography. And yet and still, he managed to stay up here. Come on, Mnet. Come on, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. Ugh. I'm sorry. His performance isn't even on the show today. We will talk more about him next week. But my gosh, why is he still here? Why is he still here? Why is Minkyu number 2? And why is Sky Castle still in the fucking room? I hope he goes home next week. Please let him go home next week. But I've gotten off subject. So one of the things I noted here was I was glad that they chose the groups after elimination. So I don't know if you guys remember last year, they chose all the people for the second group battle. And when they chose all the people for the second group battle, they then did an elimination and half the girls went home, and so they had to rearrange all of the groups in order to continue on with the group battle. I'm so glad that they decided to have the elimination and then pick the groups, because it really sucks when you're trying to work out choreography, when you're trying to get everybody in tune with something, and trying to get things going to where we're all kind of on the same team in the same place, and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you because people in their assigned spots are no longer longer here. So I thought that was nice that this was all done after the elimination round had happened. But that means that they didn't have much time at all to practice this. Probably max 3 to 4 days, and then they were filming. Okay, so Nojin says, compared to other seasons, it seemed like this season everyone got the group they wanted. They had a chance to for the most part. I have to admit that I don't watch Produce. I just watch your reviews. Thank you for being descriptive. You're welcome. I try. Okay, so we're going to start with the formation of the group. So after everybody has been assigned their groups, they go one by one to the groups that are going to be involved in showing their performances this week, and they show the group kind of like getting ready to assign spots, who's going to be leader, who's going to be center, stuff like that. So Team Yes or No has two really good rappers and two vocalists. So the guys who placed 59 and 60, who had like the last rankings in the last elimination round, they had to go to Team Yes or No because those were the only spots left. But luckily, one of the guys that's on Team Yes or No is from, I think he's from MBK, and he's a really good rapper. His name is, I want to say it's Duyan, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't give people names until I love them. And then the other guy actually was on Show Me the Money, a season of Show Me the Money. He wasn't like high ranking, but he had a decent showing on Show Me the Money. So that really helped out for their team because they only had 4 members, but with 2 being very skilled in rapping, they could assist the other 2 in putting together a performance that wasn't going to shame everybody. Team Finesse had a 3-way battle for center and decided to do their choreo separately. This was the start of some drama. But yeah, there were 3 people that wanted to be the center for Team Finesse. There was the one kid, Smile Now, Cry Later. There was another guy whose name I cannot recall, but apparently his fans are very mad that they think he was evil edited. And then there was, I don't want to say an older guy, but definitely a guy who looked a little bit older, a little bit stockier, not fat, like broad shoulders, thick muscles. Those 3 tried to be the center, and the stockier guy ended up making center because he was just sexier to watch. But yeah, so that was the start of their drama. Team Twit, the leader and the center are the same person. Like, for some reason, when the team for Team Twit were trying to figure out who can sing, it just so happened that the guy who could arrange the best also sounded the best, trying to do like this one little ending statement. So he ended up being both. Team Me After You, the same thing, but theirs is a little bit different because like before they even had the whole group, everyone in their group was like, man, I hope Sungwoo ends up in our group. I hope Sungwoo ends up in our group. And when you know it, Daddy Dimple shows up and is in their group, and immediately like, you are everything. Like, there's not going to be a vote. We just want you to know, before you got here, we were all praying and hoping you would join our group. Now that you're here, you are our leader and you are our center. Take it. Because it's not going to change. We want you. And by the way, Team Me After You has 3 of my faves in it. So I was really rooting hard for them because they've got Satellites with the big ears, whom I love. They've got Johan, also known as Heelys, whom I love. And Daddy Dimples, I'm starting to really be fond of you. You've got a face that I would like to kiss. So there you go. Team Attention, they basically had nothing to lose. Everybody on Team Attention, which is one of the X-Battle groups, were like, I've been losing rankings every single week. Like, I started off high and I've been going low, 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 low. So at this point, I either do well on this or I go home. So I'm going to do my very best because I ain't got nothing to lose. Everyone except Tony. Tony, on the other hand, his star has just been rising and rising. So he's kind of like, I just want to make sure I'm still here. Hangul is 19. I don't think, is that Sungwoo's name? Is his real name Hangul? Because that's who I was talking about wanting to kiss in the face. Help me, correct me if I'm wrong. Anywho, so they decide they're going to choose who is going to be their center. And because it's a Group X battle, they have to have somebody who's both a talented dancer and a talented singer. So everybody's trying to sing the lyrics. Guy from Finesse you were talking about. Yes, thank you. He is cute. He may be 19, but he looks 25. I like his face. I like his body type. He's going to grow into a nice piece of man later on. He's not ready yet. Obviously, he's only 19, but hit me when you're 30. But yeah, Tony wants to be the center because he's like, I didn't get a chance to be center before. I was an A trainee and I lost a lot of points because I wasn't singing and dancing well. And so I really want to be able to get back into everybody's good graces. So everybody is trying to sing their songs and they're, of course, having struggles with the English. So it sounds a little stilted, but they're doing what they can. Tony decides to sing, and because he speaks English, he's like, I'm super confident. I don't need this fucking lyrics. I'm just gonna sing. So he starts singing Attention, and it is the worst tryout for trying to be the center I've seen thus far this season. First of all, Tony does something that I absolutely hate when people sing. And you guys know it because you're probably seeing it if you've seen any American singers trying to show they can actually sing. You just want attention. You don't want my heart. Maybe you just thought of me with someone new. Like he does this head nodding thing that if you don't stop doing it. Tony, I want to love you. Le Tigre, I care. But you have got to stop doing these affectations. That head nodding stuff is distracting, and you didn't even sound that good. You sounded rough, and you did not know all the lyrics. So even though you speak English, you sounded terrible because people were like looking at you like, okay, there's one missed lyric. Oh, okay, there's another missed lyric. He does that. He does like this eyes slightly closing, but definitely, you just want attention. You don't want my heart. You just think should have never over you. It's like, oh gosh, it was bad. So of course Tony didn't make center. Of course you don't make center because you're doing the absolute most. So they end up choosing somebody else to be their center. So now that all the groups have chosen who's going to be in what category, it's time to get to the performances. We start with Team Twit. Team Twit, they really didn't have any problems with their organization and everything else. So Mnet didn't really spend a lot of time talking about them because they're like, you guys don't have any problems. You're pretty good. Get out there and sing your shit. Also, I don't think Tony would have made a good center. I think if Tony would quit doing all this other, he'd be a good center, but ugh, that is annoying. When showing off goes wrong. I see you, Jade. Okay, so Team Twit goes out there to do their song, and I despised it. I thought it was terrible. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I felt very much like Waz said in the lyrics, I do not like it. Nobody like it. I did not like it. I'll tell you why I did not like Team Twit, and this is a personal bias on my part, so don't take it as me saying that these guys are not good singers. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I hated it because I hated that they did a rock remix to Twit. First of all, Twit is like a tropical house, kind of trappy beat song, and they turned it rock, which made it lose all of the kind of subtlety and sexiness that it normally has. Instead, it became super aggro, and the one guy in the red who was the leader / organizer of Team Twit, it ended up making him place last because he had the growly lyric. Like, honestly, when they did the placements of everybody in the group, I wasn't surprised that he didn't come in first because his role was like, I do not like it, nobody like it. Like, you're right. Nobody likes that growling. Nobody likes that sound. Rock music doesn't even sell like it used to. So I personally didn't like the rock remix. And that's me personally. Other people may have been down with the rock remix. I get it. I got it. It's just not my cup of tea. But I would be very surprised if that song wins the vocal category. Like I would cry default if that song won the vocal category, because the other thing that happens when you turn the song from this kind of sexy, vibey, tropical inspired thing into a rock song is that when you do that, it takes the subtlety of the pronunciation of the lyrics out too. And so now, kind of the spiciness and the kind of, the kind of insinuation of certain statements and how you phrase them, that gets lost in a rock remix. And so now a song talking about, maybe I don't like the way you're treating me, because if you're going to treat me bad in a sexy way, that goes out the window and it becomes, I don't like you. Nobody likes you. Your shit's making me mad. Like it just changes the whole way that that song sounds. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Why did they change it like that? Was it to make it more bad boyish? I think it was to make it more masculine. Like, if I was to be honest with myself and figure out their motivation, I think that they changed it to a rock vibe because they wanted it to sound more masculine. Because this is a song by a woman, and a very sexy woman who is putting her body and her sexuality on display in both the song and the lyrics. Well, they can't do it in a very kittenish, sexy way like she does because they're not Taemin. Taemin, on the other hand, was singing the song exactly the way it was done by Hwasa because he likes to keep it very kind of gender fluid. So for them, they're like, we want to turn it masculine. I know how to turn it masculine. Turn it into a rock song, which I think is a cop out. I think they could have been much more creative about it. But, it is what it is, and I'm glad that the team members seemed happy with their performance. But personally, I do not like it. Nobody who's my friend like it. Next, we have the attention group. So, the attention group is having mad problems. First of all, they have to change centers because the guy that they chose to be the center is not that powerful of a dancer, and he is not that powerful of a singer. And even the trainers are like, I really think that Mahiro and Tony would be better as centers. So I know, why even have a female song if it's too feminine? Ask the producers why they chose a female song and then have boys who are insecure decide they got to change it around. If they can't play it feminine, why even have it? I digress. So, team attention, they're having a problem with their center because their center is just not hitting the vocals, is not hitting the dance. So they end up changing from whoever the kid was they originally had to Mahiro, the YG trainee, as being their center. And then they're all stressed out too because they're having to do two things at once. They're having to sing and they're having to do choreo. So like everyone on team attention is just really falling apart. And you worry that by the time they get on stage, things just aren't going to work. So when they finally do get on stage and it's time to perform, I was pleasantly surprised by the performance. I'm not going to say it was my favorite thing in the world. I thought it was actually rather bland, but that might have to do with their wardrobe choices as well. But definitely team attention pulled off a much better performance than what their training indicated was going to happen. And so I was happy for them for that. The thing that I was displeased about is that Mahiro was the center. And, not saying, but just saying, this is a bad time to be at all affiliated with YG. This is a bad time to be at all affiliated with YG and be a Japanese citizen. This is a bad time to be affiliated with YG and be a Japanese citizen and not be kind of more well known. And so Mahiro, who should have been an early favorite, who should have been well loved and well liked because of a series of unfortunate events, is not as well loved and well liked. And, as much as I hate Tony's neck bob, I think at the end of the day, if they wanted a more successful center, it would have made sense to choose Tony as the center. Tony is cocky. He's a cocky little shit, and he really needs to get some humble pie about him. But the trainers weren't wrong when they said that he did really well with the singing and the dancing. And one of the things that really helps him is the fact that when it comes to doing the English of the song, he doesn't have to think about it that much. If he can just get the lyrics right, he could probably sing it by route. But the dancing would be a difficult thing for him. And I'm going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about Tony getting no lines. And I just think that overall, like a lot of the problems that people have with like trying to make sure they pronounce their English right, making sure that it doesn't get all slurred and blurred together, Tony just wouldn't have had those problems because he's so used to talking in English so much. But just like I said, Tony is a cocky little shit. Tony is a cocky little shit. And nobody likes Tony. I don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but the producers at Mnet love Tony. And I can tell they love Tony because when you see Tony's like confessional videos, his skin looks clear, his makeup looks great. Like Tony looks completely different in his confessionals than he does whenever they're doing their training, their practicing and stuff like that. Like they really glam him up for his confessionals and like solo shoots. But in the group setting, no one really seemed like they wanted to talk to Tony. No one really seemed like they took Tony seriously. When it came time to pick lines for people, how is it that one of the two people that the trainers identified as being the best at performing the song, he gets one fucking line in the song? One line. That has nothing to do with his ability to perform the song. It has everything to do with the fact that his team members did not like him. And honestly, if Mnet wanted to really show some drama, that is the drama I would have liked to have seen, because there had to be a reason why they didn't want to see Tony shine. But I think Mnet's not going to do that though, because they don't want it to make it seem like the Korean guys are biased against the foreign guys. But it was more than obvious that they hated the fact that Tony can sing in English because he's well versed in English. They hated the fact that out of all of them, Tony's star is the only star that is rising while the rest of them are falling. And they hated the fact that the trainers thought that Tony was doing well. So they decided to put him in his place by giving him the least amount of lyrics, the least amount of shine, the least amount of attention. And Tony is fortunate that he placed as well as he placed in his group, because they did everything they could to sabotage him, and I think it's shitty. I missed a comment just now that said, a lot of fans have noticed there's a huge divide between the Korean and foreign trainees compared even to last season. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and there's not even that many foreign idols or foreign trainees on the show. There's Mahiro, there's Tony, there's Peak, there's the other Chinese kid from Hungyi. There is the other YG trainee, I think. And then I don't even know if you can count Timothy, because I think that Timothy is biracial, so he's not really a foreigner in that respect. So you've got literally a little over a handful of people who are foreign trainees. And yet and still, like, they're getting shit on, and I don't understand why. Wish somebody would explain it to me. I think Tony will be in the group because they want to aim more globally this time, maybe. I think the problem is that Tony won't make it in the group if the public doesn't want him to make it in the group. And I don't think that the public is sympathetic to Tony. They were sympathetic to Tony when he apologized for doing poorly in the A-Team video auditions. They were sympathetic to him because he was trying really hard, but now the screen time they're showing him being a brat. They're showing him being overly confident, and that's not going to make people vote for him. Last year, they made a point of the Korean girls at least trying to bridge the divide between the Japanese girls despite the language barrier, but this year it's a lot different. There were 10 foreign trainees at the beginning. They must not have showed anything about the other foreign trainees, or like they barely showed them, because they focused on the ones that I just talked about. But yeah, his group really did him dirty, and I don't think that they're going to win the X battle. I have no idea what Turtleship is going to do, but I mean, as long as Turtleship has good energy, I have a feeling that they're going to beat the Attention guys. Like, just facts on facts. And if they beat the Attention guys, they'll have deserved it for bypassing Tony's talent the way they did. Like, even honestly, Mahiro was the center, and he didn't place nearly as high as he could have, because he didn't even get as much singing and dancing solo spotlight as other members of the group. There's the one kid in particular that has the black jacket. I don't know his name. He came in first in their group. You would have thought that he was the center, because he got way more singing credits. He got like key parts in the song that were very focused on him and his singing. And it's just like, what's the point of making this other guy your center if you don't treat him like a center? But that became a problem in another group, and we'll talk about that shortly. Okay, so now let's talk about Team Yes or No. So Team Yes or No, I totally dug their performance. I thought it was so good. And unlike other groups, their drama was not manufactured team drama, which I really like. The reason I really liked the fact that their drama had to do with performance is because Cheetah was so honest And she was giving such good advice, and she wasn't hateful at all. She was just letting you know this is what it is. And I think that's the kind of thing that I like to see when it comes to produce. I like to see a trainee being deconstructed and then rebuilt and winning. That's what I like. And I think that it's important for them to have that, because if you want them to be the best group available, if you want them to be a representative group for the nation, you want them to be as honed and crafted and skilled as possible. So when Cheetah was telling Doohyun, I know you can do better than this. I know you can put more energy in this. Just because we're practicing doesn't mean you need to be shallow. You need to make me feel it. You need to enunciate. You need to throw in little curves and valleys and things to make me interested in what you're doing. That's the kind of shit I want to see. That's the kind of feedback that they need. And I find it like maybe it's a pattern, but in seasons past, the trainers played a huge part in crafting the narrative of a lot of these backgrounds of group battles. The trainers talked a whole bunch about, the different trainees. They were given a lot more interaction. And at the beginning of the season, the trainers did have a lot of screen time and they gave a lot of input. But I would say last group battle and this group battle, it felt like the trainers were barely there. Like you heard them say one or two things and then they bounced. But I remember like with the girls season, especially when it came to choreography, the trainers like really talked to them about what was wrong, what was right, what they needed to change, and focusing on team dynamics instead of focusing on the training aspect, to me makes it cheap. It makes the process cheap. So as I love Yes or No team. I really want Doohyun or Sungyoon in the group. They're talented, work hard, and have good personalities. I agree that the rappers were so good. I thought Yes or No, even though I didn't understand a fucking word they said, I thought that their chemistry as a team was so good. They played off each other really well. They got the crowd hype. It's obvious they were having fun. There was still some choreography. It wasn't strictly like a loose rap performance where everybody's just running around the stage. They did do some things together. They did do some moves together, some of the popular dance moves. Like, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I really, really dug it. And I think that they deserve whatever placements they get, if they get high placements. We're just waiting to see what Barcode is going to be like. So, I haven't seen Barcode yet. I could go on YouTube right now and probably see a piece of it, but I'm not going to try to do that. But I'm just saying, I really think that Team Yes or No did a kick-ass job, and I hope that they get votes that reflect that, because they did really, really well. And the votes for the team were perfect. Like, the people who came in the bottom and the people who came in the top, it absolutely reflected their performances on the stage. So that is something I really, really liked about it. I thought it was probably the most fair voting I've seen thus far. I can't picture Barcode being better since Yes or No had the two best rappers in the season. I don't know. I'm not going to judge right now because, again, I haven't seen it. But, there could be a chance that Barcode could come out with something really amazing. Like, maybe the rap that they say is going to be, like, stunning. But we'll see. And because it was small, everybody got a decent part. Yeah, everybody got a decent part. The vocalists that end up in the rap team, they got votes according to their skills. Exactly. Like the one guy that I thought that did the worst, Mr. Big Chin, he ended up placing last. And he didn't even do the worst because he's a terrible rapper. It was more like you could feel his discomfort on the stage, because there were a couple of times when his vocals got a little bit soft while he was rapping. And it's like, okay, because you're not that sure. But yeah, the guys who rap, they rapped their fucking asses off. And I loved it. And I thought it came out really nice. Okay, now let's talk about Team Finesse, because Team Finesse is the one that had the most drama in terms of the way that the fans viewed Mnet's editing. So Team Finesse had their leader working their choreography. And I think their leader is from Brand New Music. I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. But there were two trainees from Starship, and it was Smile Now, Cry Later, and one of his team members, and they're used to making the choreography for their team whenever they're doing training. So the one guy who is the Starship trainee that I don't really know, he was like, hey, I want to help make this choreography because that's what we do. And they're like, yeah, go ahead and start making choreography, but we're not going to use any of the stuff that you're making. We're going to do what I have chosen for us, because I was chosen the leader, and also I go to school for dance, so I think that I know a little bit better than the children do. And of course, Starship training number two is like having a little bit of a temper tantrum. It's like, well, I think that before you dismiss my work, you should at least look at it, maybe see it in action, and then decide if it doesn't work. So he kind of has a hissy fit, doesn't really want to learn the choreo, and he walks off. And so there's all this drama about like you can't just walk off on the team and this, that, and the other. And so finally they sit down and he's like, I just want to let you know that I walked off because I had ideas. It didn't feel like you were listening to me, and I don't think that's the way a team should work. So they managed to iron out all their difficulties and stuff, but it really looked like their leader was kind of cold. The way it was edited, it was kind of like the leader was saying, like, well, fuck him. If he don't like what I'm doing, he's just gonna have to go home or get with it because those are the choices. And I don't feel like that's what he meant. Or maybe I'm reading it wrong. It more felt like the way he's acting is not the way you resolve problems in a group. And I'm not going to go follow him because he chose to leave. And I think that's reasonable. If you and I are in a team and you dislike the things I'm doing, if I'm not doing things well, how am I supposed to know you dislike what I'm doing if you don't talk to me? If you just run off and decide you're not going to put in your part of our project, how does that make you any better than me? I may not be listening, but that's because you've given me nothing to listen to because you haven't voiced your displeasure. So, yeah, when he came back and he talked about this is my problem and this is the reason why I was being less than receptive to what you were saying, that made a whole lot of sense. Because that's what people need. It makes a lot of sense to sit down with somebody and say, I don't feel like I'm being heard. I feel like I have good ideas, and at the very least, allow me to present my ideas before you shoot them down. But that's not the way they edited it. They edited it as if it's my way or the highway. And, the way you edit people can really screw up their chances when it comes to being able to perform and get votes. So, Mnet, you need to cool it on that shit. So let's see what I can't remember if it was Team Twitter, yes or no, but I loved when they got the results. One of them said the ranking doesn't matter in the end because the other groups were so mopey about the ranking result. I think that might have been Team Me and You. Just saying. Is it even fair to have them make choreography when most likely when they debut in a group, they will have little to no involvement in that? It depends on what kind of group it is. Like, if you look at a group like 17, who's heavily involved in making their choreography, there is a chance that the way that you dance and the way you interpret your lyrics could be seen in the final product. So it just really depends on what group you're going to be involved in. While watching, I could see other people hating Sihoon, but I thought Wonjin wasn't handling it correctly. He pouted for too long. Communication was non-existent in the beginning. At least they solved it. Exactly. But even after Team Finesse solved that little misunderstanding about choreography and who's doing what and everything else, they had a secondary problem. And the secondary problem was that their team had a center who did not have center choreography. And even the trainers were like, are you sure that that guy is the center? Because I'm watching your dancing and I could have sworn that Smile Now Cry Later was the center, or that your leader was the center, because the center's off to the side. So what's his center part? So the center is like, hey guys, I just want you to know, like, I need to look like the center. You voted me the center because you said you like my vibe. I need to actually have center choreography. So they were trying to put him in some positions, and I was watching it with Mason and Jade. We were all watching it at the same time. And Mason was like, well, he's complaining about being the center and not having center parts, but they're presenting options to him and he's just shutting them down. So what does he expect? And that really soured Mason on the final performance. Me, I didn't take it that way. I took it as him maybe like putting his foot down, which you need to do, and saying, okay, yes, I did ask for more parts or more central parts as the center, but what you're presenting to me doesn't fulfill that qualification, or at least it's not strong enough for what it is I have in mind. And that's okay to say. I realize that we all want to get along with each other, but getting along with each other doesn't mean that you have to forfeit everything about yourself. You are allowed to talk and say, hey guys, I do want to get along with you, but in the same time, I need you to understand what my needs are and help accommodate my needs as well. Because you gave me this role and I want to fulfill it, so help me fulfill it. So Finesse finally gets on stage. They do their performance. The people I watched the show with thought that the performance was fine. I, on the other hand, did not like the performance. I will tell you why I didn't like the performance. I did not like the performance because I thought it was absolutely not memorable. There were very few standout parts of that performance. I'm glad that the center spoke up and had them change his parts because he ended up coming in first place for his team. But I just thought that the performance was weak. And I know what was weak about it. If the team had been singing the song while they were doing that choreography, that would have been a perfect performance. Like, it would have been so good if they were the ones singing and dancing at the same time. They worked. They had a pre-recorded backing track. Who knows who did the vocals, because I don't think the guys did the vocals for the backing track. But they had a pre-recorded backing track. All they had to do was dance. The choreography that they did to that song was idol music show choreography. But this is a dance battle. And because it is told to the audience before you get on stage it is a dance battle, they expect to see big dramatic movements. They expect to see something that doesn't look like street dancing or trendy dancing. They expect to see something, yeah, they just lip sync. They expect to see something that looks totally big and dramatic and everything else. And but and that's not what they gave them. They gave them something that looked like something you would see on a music show. So to me, the drama wasn't there. And with the drama not being there, it made the choreography less powerful to me. The trainers seemed to like it. The guys in the back seemed to like it. Like, it went over fine with the audience. But in my opinion, if I was looking at a team just for dancing, I want you to wow me. I want you to give me something I've never seen before. It's just like when you watch, back in the old days, America's Best Dance Crew, or even now, Jennifer Lopez has that show like The World of Dance or Bring It Dancing, whatever the fuck that show is called. When people get on that show, because the focus is dancing, you don't see the kind of dancing you'd expect to see from background dancers behind a Beyonce. Instead, you see the kind of dancing that is like, this person is preternaturally gifted. They are obviously boneless. The way they move is like nothing I've ever seen before. You know, the dance, the movement becomes the focus. The way that the lyrics are interpreted through the movement is the focus. And that just didn't feel like that's what was being accomplished by Finesse's dance to me. It just seemed like the kind of choreography you throw behind a performance because they're not going to get too winded having to do this over and over again. But that's my feelings about it. Somebody, Musical Century says, yeah, I don't understand why they didn't sing. They have to do it if they get in the final group. The reason why they didn't sing is because the focus of their group was dancing. There was a dance competition. Okay. All rounders that rising and voting hope at least one make debut. I don't know any of them by name. You're asking me about names, and I've told everybody this before. It takes a while for you to earn a name from me, so I don't know who any of those people are by name. I'm sorry. I probably would know them by facial features or by things that they've done, but I can't place them by name. So the final group we're going to talk about is Team Me and You. And Team Me and You, they're all buddies, they're all friends. I almost feel like they talked about it ahead of time, to be honest with you. But Team Me and You, they really like each other. Things are going well for them. The issue is the one trainee that looks like Myung-soo from Infinite. He has a robot problem. Everybody accuses him of being a robot because when he's out there singing, he is a very bland singer. So if Tony's problem is that he does too much emoting, Juno's, that's his name, Juno, is the opposite. So Tony might be like, you'll always be mine, girl. Whereas Juno's like, yes, you'll always be my girl. And it's just like, okay, I'm gonna need you to emote. I'm gonna need some facial features. I'm gonna need you to But he's like, I don't know if it's because he's had extensive plastic surgery that has damaged the nerves in his face, so he cannot feel that he's not smiling. But like, even when he was trying to explain that he's doing his best to put emotion into his performance, his face was just, and it was off-putting actually to hear him talk about how hard he was trying, because like, everybody says that I'm like a robot, but I'm not a robot. I have emotions. I really want to show people my emotions. Hopefully, through practice, I can show them that I'm more than just a pretty face. How is that supposed to convince me you're not a robot? The only thing that keeps me from confirming you're a robot is I don't hear the sounds whenever you move. Like, that is the only thing keeping me from thinking that you might be automated, because you are dead-eyed. Thank you. He reminds me of Hyewan a little bit. So after telling me what team they're with and what group they're from doesn't help me at all. I'm so sorry. I can't, because I didn't pay attention to Uptension or Victon when they were performing out in public, so that doesn't help me at all. I'm so sorry. So he is shown with his teammates trying to, do his best to show his emotion. And who do they show him practicing his emotions with? None other than Mr. Emotion himself, Johan, also known as Healy's. And it was like watching, I wouldn't say mirror images, but like opposite day. Like, you could just see from the way that Healy's moves his body, his emotions go from the top of his head to the tip of his fingers. His shoulders move with him. Like, he's just got a very loose kind of, the way he moves, like he's very comfortable in himself. And that could be from years of taking Taekwondo, because whenever you do martial arts, it's very important to have a very loose body because of all of the movement, tumbling, and everything else you have to do. But like, he just seems very at home in his body. Whereas, the Myung-Soo bot, he seems very stiff in his body. Like, he seems like his shoulders are really tense. He seems like he's got a lot of stiffness in his neck. He comes across as somebody who could use a Xanny bar. So they get to the dress rehearsal and he starts singing. And I have to give it to him. He's got a lovely vocal. I would never say that the kid is talentless. And I've never said that he's talentless. Go back to my lives. I've never said he's talentless. I always have said he is boring. That there's nothing about him exciting. And he gave an adequate vocal performance, but it was boring. And it continued to be boring. And the trainer's like, oh, he did so good. He sounds so great. I almost cried. I love it. And I'm just like, are we looking at the same dude? Like, his eyes barely blink. He gave a smile at one point, and the smile looked like a grimace. He's like, I did really well this time. He's like watching fucking paint dry. He really is. And if he makes it into the group, Korea's gonna get what they want, which is his face. But you can literally buy his face. All you gotta do is take a picture, print it on a piece of paper, cut it out, and there, you got his face. But in terms of like just interest, I can't imagine watching that kid on Variety at all. At all. I would not want to see that kid on Variety. And I'm sorry, I don't think that he deserves to be in the final group, only because his personality is so very, very dry and so very, very hard to embrace. But let's talk about the performance. The performance was beautiful. The performance was really, really nice. I thought they did a good job. I'm not going to lie. Healy's is not a strong singer. They gave him a lot of vocal time, and that's just not his strong suit. Whereas Daddy Dimples, on the other hand, they gave him a good amount of time, and he's captivating to watch. Like, Healy's is great to watch, not great to hear. Myung-Soo Bot is great to hear, not great to watch. Daddy Dimples is all of those things. He is great to hear. He is great to watch. He would be great to hold late at night in front of a fire and sing sweet nothings to each other and maybe talk about our future and our kids. But yeah, I thought he was great. I thought he was really, really good. Even Satellites with the big ears, I thought he sounded good as well. They're the team that I was probably the most impressed by because my expectations were so fucking low. You know, like the only one in that group that I really was not wowed about was the Chinese kid. And I keep calling him that because I cannot pronounce his name. So he's just the pink haired Chinese kid. Um, he his main struggle is the Korean because he doesn't speak Korean natively. So it's always a problem for him mastering lyrical content because that's not his first language. And I thought because he was trying so hard to remember the lyrics and to not mispronounce things, his face was very stiff. He had the same kind of stiffness issue, and he came in last place because of that. But overall, I just thought the performance was really good. And I'm not even a ballad person. That is not my style. But I thought that that ballad came across really well. I thought vocally they did really good. If I had to choose between them and Twit, I'm going to choose Me After You. Like, just real talk. I think that the Me After You performance was a much better performance than the Twit performance. I did. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. Pink hair Chinese guy was last when they were first showing the rankings. Like when they were first announcing all the rankings, you know, they go from bottom to top, right? Twit, not Twit, Chinese pink hair was the first one that they showed. But Johan actually came in last place for the voting. And I was shocked. I was like, I cannot believe he came in last place. Like, is this the Twilight Zone? He's so cute and he's got so much charisma. How could he come in last place? But, you know, let's be honest here. Vocally, he was not that strong. They gave him a lot of really nice parts. They gave him some really tender parts. They gave him some solo action. Vocally, he wasn't the one. You know, even like the Chinese pink-haired kid. Like I said, he was trying so hard not to mess up the lyrics and to make his vocal on point that it made him kind of stiff-faced and not very interactive. But all that aside, he sounded great. He sounded really, really good. And because of that, he deserved the placement that he got. Whereas Johan, as much as I could watch that kid sing all day and watch his lips move, at the same time, just when it comes to sound, he didn't have it. And I think he really needs to stick to rapping. I'm not saying he can't sing one day. I'm just saying that he came into this competition as a trainee of 3 months. Remember that. 3 whole months. There is so much vocal training that he needs. There's so much dance training that he needs. There's just so much stuff that he hasn't learned yet, that hasn't been ingrained in him. He just knows the basics. And he's been thrown into like the ocean from just having learned to swim in the kiddie pool. And I don't think it is fair to then enter him into the Olympics for swimming. You know, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to make it into the final group because I absolutely believe he does. I think in the course of 5 years, he is going to be a force to reckon with because he's got the personality, he's got the looks, he's got the charm, he's got the raw talent. I think give him some time and you would be amazed at how he's going to grow because we've seen how fast he's grown in this show so far. But I think he needs to recognize his strengths and weaknesses, and he really wants to be seen as a vocalist, and that's just not his skill. And I won't say that he's a rapper either, because I think in order for him to be a rapper, he'd have to write his own raps, and I don't know that he possesses that skill in particular either. But if it's just about being able to recite a rap that someone else has given him, I think he could do bananas on it, and I think that that is where we need to place him. I think that would be his thing. But he had a good attitude about it. He had a wonderful attitude about it. He's like, you know what? I got what I got. I deserved what I deserved. And, you know, I'm just going to have to do harder and work harder next time. And that reaction makes me love him. It makes me love him. Yeah, We Entertainment. Whoever is doing their casting, they know what's up. They see the diamonds in the rough. But yeah, I love him more. If it's possible, I love him more. Also, the more I look at him, the more he looks like Minho from SHINee to me. I know, probably a lot of people don't see it, but there's just some about him. He reminds me of the Minho from the SHINee, and that alone is enough to make me be like, I want to tattoo your name on my body because I love the Minho so much. The Minho. I've been seeing pictures of him from his enlistment. He won an award for his unit about 3 weeks ago, maybe, and they took a whole bunch of pictures of him with his award and greeting his mom and stuff. Tell me why Minho looks like the poster boy for the Korean Marines. Like, when you see a picture of him, his face is perfect, his uniform fits perfect. He looks like the fucking poster boy for the Korean Marines. And I live for it. I think it's amazing. I can see that, but more so, they have like the same charm. Yeah, like, you know, I've had to defend Minho from Shiny being my bias for a long time because a lot of people were like, Minho's not a strong rapper. Minho's not a strong singer. He's not the best dancer. So is he your bias just because he's cute? And I've had to explain over and over the years that Minho is not my bias because of his musical abilities. He is my bias because of his personality. He is one of those guys that you just want to have in your corner because he is that guy that will go to the end of the earth to make sure you're all right. He is that guy that if you're feeling like you're having a bad day, you give him a call and he will cheer you up like you've never been cheered up. He's smart, he's competitive, he's soft and sensitive where he needs to be. Like, there's just so much about Minho that has nothing to do with his role when it comes to Shiny songs and everything to do with his role as a member of Shiny that makes all the difference in the world. And that's why it didn't shock me when he enlisted as a Marine. Of course he would enlist as a Marine because that's the kind of man he is. He is the kind of man who would not go into the army and just do the easiest thing to get his time out and then leave. Instead, he looked for the challenge. He said, I'm going to go into the hardest unit I can so that I can prove to myself that I've done this. And a man who continuously challenges himself, continuously forces himself to grow. Like, you have to admire that. You have to admire that. And I see that same thing in Johan. Even though we haven't known each other for very long, I just feel like he's the kind of guy that he recognizes his weaknesses. He's not blind to his weaknesses, but at the same time, he's got that same competitive edge, the same competitive spirit. He's got that same genuine camaraderie. He's got that same kind of charm. Like, I see the world for him, and I really hope he makes it to the final group. I really hope he makes it to the final group. Even if he didn't come in number one, I just want him to do it. Okay, so my main vocal pick, he hasn't had a chance to sing yet. So far, I think, isn't the Marines on a boat? The Marines are, well, I don't know how it is in Korea, but in America, the Marines are on boats, but they're also like in the jungle, in the desert. They're snipers, like they do everything. The Marines are like the top. I think the Marines are like, well, they're Marines, so marine life, water, but Navy SEALs come from the Marines. And Navy SEALs are the highest trained military unit in the United States. And in Korea, the Marines tend to be one of the highest trained units for combat and things like that. So being a Marine is not about being out on the water necessarily. Like, all Marines have to know how to swim. But being a Marine is also about being pushed to the limit in terms of your training and understanding of the military and of battle techniques and all those other things. And so for him to be a Marine, that's a huge commitment, because that's like, I'm not just getting through my 21 months just to get through them. I'm actually looking to achieve something higher. And so that's the reason why I really am proud of him for that. Minho's just a great person with the potential to do so much. I agree. You have to necessarily be the most talented to be essential to the group. I wonder if after 1v9 and Produce 101 group disbands, if they will put Johan, Jinsu, and Yoonga in one group. I don't know. That's a question. What do you think of Say's song called ZGZG? She appeared on Mint and Show Champion, and she slayed. Two members of are there too. This is a group under 19. Okay, so we're starting to get into non-produce conversation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end this live because some people only watch this for my produce talk. So I'm gonna end this live and then I'm gonna come back and we'll talk about other stuff. Okay, guys? So I'm just letting you know. I'll be right back. But if you ask who my favorite vocal is, my favorite vocal is Tuzi. Tuzi is my favorite vocal, and he is my favorite vocal because I love the sound of his voice. I cannot wait to see how he performs. It is a shame his group did not let him be center because he totally deserved that shit, but it is what it is. Maybe the trainers will make them change their mind, but so far, he is my fave. Him and Yuvin from my team. I really like Yuvin from my team. So there you go. All right, I will see you guys in